Listen, let's welcome in who's already been saluted by Huck in Missouri, Eric in Long Island. Eric, welcome and congratulations. How are you today? Okay, pal?
Thank you, dog. Just bear with me. And I'm on about 2 hours of sleep. Left Minneapolis at 4:30 Central Time. Drove about 6 hours to O'Hare Airport in Chicago. Got there about 10:30. Was supposed to have a 2:30 flight this afternoon. Ended up catching the 11:30 flight because they're calling for 6 inches of snow in Chicago. So I was lucky to get out of there and not get stuck there. So just got in the car a little bit, and here I am, dog. Let me just tell you this, dog. For all the heartbreak, all the self-pity, I mean, it's all gone now, dog. I told you all I wanted was one, dog. And I remember you at 43 years of old coming on after the Giants won their first World Series and hearing the excitement in your voice, dog. That's the same thing I'm feeling right now. You know, you got to remember something, dog. As an Eagle fan, as diehard as I am on Long Island, I really got nobody to turn to. I'm surrounded by Jet fans, Giant fans. I mean, I've made some great friends in the Philadelphia area over the last 10 years. But a lot of times, dog, where I've gone to, to voice my displeasure has come to you, dog. So I owe you a big thank you for that. There's nobody I'd rather talk to today and share this moment with than you as well. So you're a big part of this. But I'll tell you one thing, dog. Being in that stadium, I'd say it's about 70-30 breakdown of Eagles, Patriot fans in the Eagles' favor. I mean, on third downs when the Eagles were trying to get a stop, which obviously they couldn't get a stop the entire day, I mean, Brady lit them up. I mean, Brady's a special individual. I mean, I thought he was special watching him on TV, but seeing him in person, I got more respect for him now than I think I ever could have. And I'll tell you one thing, dog.
Yeah.
You look at this Eagle defense. I mean, they were putrid in the game. But to me, the three big plays that this defense has made the entire season, I'll take you back to after Wentz got hurt in that Ram game. They had a gigantic strip sack of Jared Goff. You go back to the Viking game against Minnesota a couple of weeks ago. At 14-7, late second quarter, Keenum is driving the Vikings.
It was 21-7. It was 21-7.
No, dog. 14-7 at the time. That was right before the Alshon Jeffrey long touchdown.
I thought it was 21. That's the strip sack in that game. Okay.
That strip sack turned that point. I said to my buddy at the game yesterday, dog, there's no way we're stopping Brady. I said the only way we're getting out of this alive is, God's going to have to play in this game. I told you last week we're going to have to get a bounce. And sure enough, another strip sack. They get it. They give Jake Elliott credit. He seems to be better at these longer kicks than these extra points. All right, he puts them up 8. And from that point on, at that point I felt confident. I knew Brady with 58 seconds and no timeouts was going to be very difficult. And once that ball hit the ground, I'm telling you right now, that stadium erupted. The Patriot fans cleared out, and you would have thought you were at Lincoln Financial Field with the amount of Eagle fans that were basically, on the goalpost down below by the NFL Films camera. It was unbelievable.
Were you confident? Were you confident before the game started that the Eagles would win?
I was confident before the game started, and I'll tell you why, dog. I had this self belief that this was our time. I just thought that eventually, as you put it in your monologue, and I got in the car as you started your monologue, you said the word finally, and I completely agree with that. It's about time. It's about time this happened to the city of Philadelphia. It's about time it's happened to me. I've been suffering with this team, and I'll say this, dog. I think the one big play in this game that does not get talked about a lot, I don't know if people brought it up. I haven't been listening all day. Late second quarter at 15-12 when Brady just let him down the field for a touchdown. A little over 2 minutes to go. The Eagles had a 3rd and 8. That's when they did the wheel route to Clement for 55 yards. That was a big play. Yards.
Big play.
Think about that. If they don't convert there, you're punting. You're basically giving Brady the ball back. They could take the lead into the locker room and get the ball to start the second half. The Eagles would not have recovered from that. Yes, the 4th and 3 to Ertz was gigantic. They lose the game if they don't make that play. But I think that Corey Clement play, it says a lot about them winning this football game.
Excellent point. Now, how about what do you think of the stadium?
Inside U.S. Bank, I thought it was beautiful. I think they did a great job. I mean, the only displeasure I had was the concourses. I thought they might have been a little too narrow with the bathrooms and stuff. I mean, listen, if you had to go, and I didn't drink anything yesterday. I made sure I had no beers. I don't want to deal with having to go to the bathroom all game. I think I went once. I'll tell you one thing: trying to go to the bathroom in that place, it takes you about a half hour. It was terrible.
What time did you sit in what time did you get in your seat?
I got into my actual seat about 4:15, which is 5:30 Central, about an hour and 15 before the game started. I got inside the stadium, though, probably about a half hour after it opened. I was down on the field watching warm-ups. I saw Wentz and all the injured players, Maragos, Hicks, Jason Peters out on the field before anybody else. So we were down there, watching them warm up. You had to get into the stadium early. You had no choice. And I'll tell you one thing. I don't know how you guys in Radio Row survived. I mean, the weather out there is putrid. I mean, it's -6. It feels like -25. I'm down there on Saturday. You're walking around the Mall of America. You can't go outside. It's freezing. It's unbelievable how cold that city is.
And how about the Philly fan base in the stadium?
Phenomenal, dog. I mean, I'm telling you, it was a 70-30 split of Eagle fans compared to Patriot fans. I mean, they were up every third down, like I said.
You didn't go outside. You didn't go outside at the end and throw stuff at the Patriot team bus, did you?
No, that's not me, dog. That's the 22-year-old kids that don't know what they're doing. I don't get wrapped up in stuff like that. I mean, listen, you're gonna have some knuckleheads along the way. I mean, listen, as somebody who's watched this team for as long as I have,
and you've been on Peterson a lot. What's your take on him for a second?
I mean, listen, I got to eat crow. I said to you last year, I came on here, and I'll give my buddy Hayden in Virginia a lot of credit. I spoke to him after the game last night via text. I mean, I came on your airways last year and said this team will never win a Super Bowl with Doug Peterson. He did a complete 360 this year. I mean, everything he dialed up in this particular game and really in the playoffs in general and the late regular season, he played aggressive. He learned the mistakes of other coaches. He was an aggressive coach all year. He went for a lot of fourth downs, middle of the season where maybe he should have kicked the field goal. He knew the pulse of his team. He knew what to do in certain situations. I give this guy all the credit. I never thought this man could ever lead this team to a Super Bowl. And I'll tell you one thing. Thursday morning, I'm taking my 7-year-old down to the link. We're going to enjoy this parade. That's the one person I wish was there with me yesterday. But with the travel schedule going through Chicago and Madison, it was too much for him to handle. So I'll be at the parade on Thursday. It starts at 11. I'll get down there early. But listen, this will be a moment I never forget. So I'm on cloud nine, dog. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Well, good for you, Eric. You deserve that championship. Good for you. And Brady would not have scored, by the way, on that touchdown, on that great play by Amendola. Should have caught it, but he would not have scored a touchdown. It's amazing. They played, and it wasn't the same exact play that the Patriots, it's the same exact play, but the other one is much easier because the other one's 1 yard. I know everybody is trying to compare, well, the quarterback, one caught, one didn't. That's the difference in the game at the half. No, it's not. That Brady play, that ball's in the air a long time. That's a much harder play to catch than the Foles catch from the 1 yard line. Much, much harder. Got to keep that in mind. Joel in Green Bay is on Mad Dog Unleashed. Joel, good afternoon. How are you today? What do you have?
Well, there's a lot of irony in the game. And then from a Green Bay perspective, for instance, Tom Brady has 5 championships under his belt, tying Bart Starr. Bart Starr has 1 loss, career playoff record, 9 wins, 1 loss.
Yep.
To the Eagles.
Correct, 1960. I'm with you. Go ahead.
Now, lastly, this irks me to high heaven. At one point, they showed Steelers, 6 Super Bowls. Patriots 5, 49ers 5. I said, well, let's add up 6 and 5 and adds up to 11, which is too short of the Packers.
Yeah,
we have 13.
Well,
why in the world can't people say that what happened before the Super Bowl counts?
Well, because they're playing a Super Bowl now, and they're not just ending it with the NFL or the AFL championship game. You're right. Those Green Bay games with Lombardi and anything before 66, they sort of forget about. 100% accurate. But it's the Super Bowl era that they're most concerned about. And listen, Brady's got another one left in him. I mean, I don't see how anybody could think that we have seen the last of Brady. Now, they asked him after the game yesterday regarding his future. Now, his answer was, geez, I just lost this one in 15 minutes. Can you give me a second? And I understand his answer there. That question is sort of weird. But remember, you're not going to hear from Brady now unless he wants you to hear from him when he puts something on his Facebook page. You're not going to hear from Brady now in that kind of setting, really into training camp. So I understand the question is in a horrendous spot to ask it, but if you don't ask it, then you're not going to hear from Tom. So you have to ask. In a lot of ways, you're putting the media in a tough spot. Since he's so difficult to get a hold of, you almost got to expect him. You have to almost. I wouldn't ask it, but I can understand it. And Gronkowski, which I saw on the press conference yesterday, Gronkowski, was in a scenario where he kind of put himself in a tough spot. He mentioned he's going to look at his future, and because he had the concussion, that made people think, wow, Gronkowski might quit because of these injuries, and I don't think Gronkowski quite meant that, and then he spent the next 10 minutes trying to backtrack, so it was kind of weird. The one thing I will say on the postgame, first off, I am not, if NBC is going to shoo me off to NBC Sportsnet because they want to get to some asinine show following their game, well, I'm not going, okay? If NBC is telling me at 10:30 at night, enough of this on our primetime network, let's go follow us on NBC Sportsnet, where 99% of America doesn't know where it is, I'm not going. I got other places to go. I got Sports Center on ESPN. I got the primetime with Berman, and obviously I can go to the NFL Network. So I can go other places if I need to. So if NBC leaves the stage in 10 minutes because they want to get a show with little publicity, they've left me. I'm not going with them. But the one thing I do want to say, can some of these directors on these TV stations realize that after the game, America, I don't want to hear Doug Peterson tell me praise to the Lord. Can anybody after the game say, you know what, let's hear what Belichick has to say? The Belichick press conference, I have still not heard the whole thing, lasted 10 seconds. I did not hear him. I searched all over the place to find Belichick after the game. All over America. I went to 212. I went to 209. I went to 206. I went here. I heard 10 seconds of Belichick. And I also heard about 10 seconds of Brady. I mean, can you understand if you're doing a post game, what we want is sound, especially of a losing team of the caliber of New England with a historic coach and a historic quarterback. You want to hear it? They're almost more significant than Foles and Peterson. Yet I didn't hear anything of them. And the other thing, I got two other things to say that I just thought of. If Berman is good enough to do prime time the night of the Super Bowl, biggest night they got, and Chris Berman's big enough, and I can't wait to get to him with Steve Young and Randy Moss yesterday, then why isn't he big enough to do it in the regular season? Let me get this straight. We send Berman out to pasture, so out to Maui he goes, yet when we get the Super Bowl, let's bring Berman back. Well, hold on now. It's the biggest event of your year. If he's good enough to do the Super Bowl, where the hell is he in the middle of the season? It makes no sense whatsoever to throw Steve Young on here with him too. Get Tom Jackson back. I mean, it's ridiculous. If you don't want Berman, get him out. Let Trey Wingo do it. But I don't understand that. That to me is mind-boggling. And I'll tell you right now, and this is me, and I've said this forever, I can't stand, and MLB Network's guilty of this to a certain degree too. The one thing I don't want to see NFL players on the NFL Network interview the winning team. Dion, all the guys they got on, I can't take it. That I can't take. They got 9 million guys on that desk, and the serious sports fan, and that's me. They're not going to the NFL Network in that kind of setting to get a good post game. They're just not doing it. Simple. They might go for the highlights, but they're not going for get a good post game. Not a chance. So the post game, NBC can't wait to get the hell out of it. To send you somewhere else where I'm not going. The ESPN brings back a guy who they jettisoned out of there last year, and they bring him back for the biggest day of the year. NFL Network's got every guy who played in the NFL on their set, and nobody gives me Belichick after the game. Literally, nobody gave you. How the hell can you not give me Belichick? After they spent 90 minutes telling me about Belichick and Parcells this week, how did the hell not give you Belichick? Do we have some Belichick? I like to play a little of it. Do we have Belichick sound? Can I hear a chunk? I know it's 24 hours after, but I still haven't heard him. And my papers didn't have the late quotes in there. Do I have a little Belichick right from the get-go, Kyle? 1 second. I can't see if you can find it. I know we were looking for it. Oh, you do have it. Oh, you got load. Okay, so when he loads, we got to hear that. I want to hear a little Belichick in that scenario. Right from the get-go. I'm going to laugh. I want to hear a couple minutes of Bill. after this game. And did somebody ask him about Malcolm Butler? Did they? I don't even know. Was the question asked? I got to hear what he had to say. So, as a service to the football fan that has waited 24 hours to hear a good chunk of Belichick, something the NFL Network, ESPN, ESPN2, and NBC did not give you, I will give it to you right now. Or I'll give it to you after a timeout. Should we get one in the break? Or do we have Belichick? Well, what do we have here? We have Belichick round to go?
I have two here, yeah.
What do you mean two? You have two soundbites?
They both say post-press conference, but they're different lengths. I'm trying to listen to them. Take a break. Let's come back.
All right, we'll take a break. I asked Eddie Erickson, the producer, to do that, and Eddie's making sure he has his expenses done for his plane and he can pad them. We continue here on Mad Dog Unleashed.